Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
In a time of universal deceit, telling the truth is a revolutionary act. They don't know who said that, but a lot of us could have said it. A lot of us feel that way. Welcome, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. It's the Kevin Jackson Show. Democrats have created an ecosystem where the simple act of telling the truth makes somebody stand out. There's no mystery, no mystical, magical thing to what I do except to speak the truth, to tell people what it's about. And for that, people get mad. I get the death threats. I get people want to beat me up, whatever. Good luck with all that. Do I appear afraid? I still tell the truth. And it looks as if it's such a big deal. People are, Kevin, it's amazing to me. Do you catch so much? How much flack do you catch as a black man when you tell the truth? Tons. But it is the truth. Well, what else can you do? Do you capitulate? Do you run from it? What do you do? When people ask me that, I go, what do you do when you're confronted with some black guy goes, then there's white privilege. And you're like, what? What are you talking about? Or do you just go, I understand. I know black people have been kept down. Black people haven't been kept down in America. Not in the last 50 years. You want to go back far enough, everybody's been kept down. The Irish, the Scottish, all the immigrants, the Mexicans, the Asians, every single one of them. The only people who haven't been kept down, well, there are none. The Indians were keeping down white people. When the white people came over here and tried to steal land, Indians were like, hey, it's our land. And the white people went, we don't care. And the Indians said, well, we'll make you care, and started scalping white folks. That's oppression. I mean, I get it. I understand why the Indians did it. Indians were oppressed because white men said, we're taking his land. Somebody's oppressed. Somebody, is going to get something bad that's happened to them. Go far enough back, you can find it. Even with the best of white folks, you can find it. So, why is it such a big deal to tell the truth, to say, well, black people weren't the only slaves. There were white slaves. Oh, there you go. So there's a handful of white slaves. Well, what do you think their families thought about it? What do you think? I mean, are they not just as big of a descendant of slavery as you? Which one of you, let me ask you this. If it was a white descendant of slaves and a black descendant of slaves today, and they're having a discussion, which one of them ever picked cotton in the 100-degree Texas heat? None of them. So what are you talking about? It's deceitful to not talk about this stuff in the context of what is happening today. Tell me, I'd love for a black person who says, Kevin, I disagree with you, man, because I was having a discussion with one on Twitter. He says to me, Kevin, you make it sound like all black people are poor. I said, I've never said that. In fact, that's quite different. I don't say that at all. But what I will tell you is this: black people complain more than anybody. They complain about everything that comes up to a disproportionate degree. Well, it's affecting us disproportionately. And how's that happening? Whose fault is it? You want to really get into that discussion? This guy goes on to tell me, he's making a lot of money. He's got a good degree. His wife's working on her JD. She's becoming a lawyer. His brother is an accomplished guy, and he's lamenting the black condition. And I go, do you understand you are not doing a very good job of furthering your cause here with me? Yeah, man, we're all successful, Kevin, and because the system will keep a brother down. So I'm not quite sure how that jives with how successful you've become. That's how crazy it is. Common sense appears as genius. This guy is saying to me, Kevin, you criticizing black people. Black people have been kept down, man. But I got a good job. My brother's got a good job. He's a successful entrepreneur. My wife is working on her Juris Doctorate. And man, we can't get ahead. What, are you imprisoned? Are you enslaved? Explain to me where you got your issue, because I'm not seeing it. In a time of universal deceit, telling the truth is a revolutionary act. Telling the truth makes people want to revolt against you because they have become so ingrained with deceit. My grandmother would say, the devil is everywhere. The devil is everywhere. The devil is in everything that we are discussing. I mean, for the last 9+ years, I've been talking about nothing except the devil, deceit, dishonesty, and it all comes from the left. All of it. People that want to marginalize everybody. women, you can't get ahead. Oh, but hold on a minute. Let me give you 5,000 women that have gotten ahead. Yeah, but those are the exceptions, really. So what you're telling me is if you're a woman in America, you can't start your own business. You can't pick your own mate. You can't be successful in what you choose to do in life. You can't. Who's guiding your career? I'm just curious. I want leftist women. You contact me. This is the Kevin Jackson Show, KJRadio.com. Call this show, 844-551-8255, and you tell me who's keeping you down. Give me your hardcore feminist from anywhere you want. And just so for the record, let me go ahead and put this out there. If you are a leftist and you believe that I've said something to offend you, or you believe that I'm wrong, I dare you. I double, triple, quadruple dare you, exponentially dare you, infinity dare you to call this program and explain your case. Explain it to me. Tell me where you're not deceitful. Tell me where you're not duplicitous, where you are not leading people down the primrose path. Tell me why it is. I mean, I know the answer. Why is it that black people in the very places where you cordoned them into in these urban indoctrination centers, tell me where these black folks want to blame police brutality, not being able to get ahead on some white Republican man. Show me where that occurs, because there's not one in sight. I'm the boogeyman. I'm the boogeyman. Turn me on. Get all Casey and the Sunshine Band on you. Yeah, there's a boogeyman, right? He's a white dude, a white conservative Republican man, rich guy who is destroying everything that you're about, right? Where is he? Give me his name. Give him to me in Baltimore. Give him to me in St. Louis. Give him to me in Detroit. Show me this, because I'd love to see it. I have yet to meet this boogeyman. The only boogeyman I've ever met is a white Democrat. Those are the boogeymen that I meet. Those are the people who distort the views, who intentionally deceive people, who will make it appear as though they, the criminals, are the victims. And they love making lots of victims. When we come back, I want to talk about something. We're going to talk about gun control. We're going to talk about something Charisse Theron said about guns. It'll blow your mind. She doesn't even realize how idiotic her statement is. And I promise you, I'm going to read it to you. I want you to figure it out for yourselves. And then we're going to dissect it a bit. And then we'll go into a little bit about gun control. Keep it here, folks.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177. Or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.
Beth Cook Moranville, author of Closer Than Your Breath, a book of hope.
Hope, that wonderful, wonderful four-letter word that you may feel completely out of. I wrote this book to give you great hope. It's not too late. If fetal position is an all too familiar place for you, I understand. If the next 60 seconds are too long, this book is for you. Wherever you are right now, whether you're dealing with divorce or death or sickness, take hope. You are going to make it through this pain. Don't roll your eyes. I've walked this road and I know it. The best is yet to come.
Closer Than Your Breath, a book of hope from author and speaker Beth Cook Moranville, can be found on Amazon.com or Kindle.com. For more information, visit closerthanyourBreath.com or on Facebook at Closer Than Your Breath.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
So there's a guy, his name is Sir Noel Pierce Coward. He was an English playwright, a composer. He's a director, an actor, and a singer. And he was known for his wit. Some people even said he was very flamboyant, and Time magazine said that he had a sense of personal style and a combination of cheek and chic, pose and poise. And Noel Coward, if you've ever seen a movie called The Italian Job, it's based on a novel that he wrote. But here's what he said. He said, it's discouraging how many people are shocked by honesty and how few by deceit. And I thought, how profound. The guy he was everything and a bag of chips when it comes to that type of stuff. And you should probably get to know his work. The reason why I bring this up is I'm talking about deceit. I'm talking about what the left does on the daily. And I'm going to explain a little bit later as to why they do it. But I want to talk about something that was a quote that I saw about from I think her name is Charlize Theron. You know who I'm talking about, the blondie chick that was in, I don't know, what was it called? Some where she killed men. She was played a prostitute and she killed the Johns. Anyway, she's been in a lot of movies. I know she was in Kong, one of those King Kong movies. So I'm pretty sure you know her. But at 15, Charlize Theron's mom shot and killed her father when he drunkenly attacked her mom. And here's what she said. I lost my father to gun violence. I want to repeat what happened. Charlize's mom shot and killed her father because he got drunk and he attacked her mom. And I guess in fear for her own life, probably something that had happened repetitively, she finally got fed up and said, I'm killing this dude. So she shoots and kills Charlize Theron's father. Charlize was 15 years old at the time. So she was certainly able to discern what was happening in her mother's life. And she says, I lost my father to gun violence. I said it again because I want you to understand what we're dealing with here. She lost her father to gun violence. The tool that was used to kill her father was a gun. Do you think it would have mattered to her mother how she took this man's life if he's beating her in a drunken rage? What if she had taken a bottle and hit him over the head and killed him then? What would Charlize Theron be saying now? I lost my father to beer bottle violence. This is how distorted these people are. This man is beating her mother. He's obviously a drunk. And the mother has to protect herself. And she happened to use a gun. If she'd used a knife, what would Charlize Theron be saying? But in going with the gun narrative, Charlize Theron wants you to believe it was the gun that did it. No, it was not the actions of a drunken jerk. That didn't get her father killed. She didn't blame her mother and say, this feminist that just killed my father in cold blood. She didn't say that. No, she called it gun violence that killed her father. There's a lot of steps in between before we get to that. But that's how they think. If you ever want to get into the head of a leftist, you remember this story. Because Charlize Theron probably has been telling this story for years, and she's been telling it that way as a distortion. Now I'm going to tell you another story. I got a buddy, played professional football. His name is Craig James. And he tells me, we're at an event, he was going to run for senator, and we're at an event, and he's telling a story, and he says, why do I have the drive to accomplish what I accomplish? And he says, when I was a kid, my mother and dad divorced. Craig grew up poor. Says he came home one day, there was an eviction notice on his door. He couldn't go into his apartment. They had evicted his mom. So, I mean, he grew up poor, white trash. Mom divorced, his dad got him on the weekend. So he says, this one day, I messed up my thumb really bad. And he goes, as a poor kid, I had to go to the hospital. And he goes, you didn't go to the hospital as a poor kid unless it was really bad. So that's how bad his thumb was. So they had to, sew it up really good. And then the doctor says, you can't play football. And he was a very good football player at a young age. So it was the weekend his daddy was going to pick him up. Dad picks him up. He says, hey, Dad, just FYI, doctor says I can't play football. His dad said, you're playing football. So Craig's like, whatever. So he goes out there that weekend and with his dad in the stands, second play of the game. Craig, runs the ball. He's a running back. He's a kid. He's like, 10 years old, whatever. And blows the thumb wide open, blood spewing all over the place. He's right back to square one. Says Dad sees it, calls him over from the sidelines. Coach took him out, goes to his truck, takes Craig to his truck, takes electrical tape, not even duct tape, electrical tape, and wraps his thumb up and says, get your butt back in the game. So Craig goes back in the game and, of course, finishes whatever. And he went on to play professional sports and made it to the Patriots, went to the Super Bowl. They lost, but, there you have it. But to get to the Super Bowl, they had to play the Green Bay Packers. And I don't remember who it was, but Craig was running the football, and some linebacker came and just bang, hit him hard and hit him right in the face mask, and it blew his nose, hit him in the bridge of the nose, and his nose just, blew open. I'm talking about it made a gap where he hit him. It wasn't nose bleed, it was nose hit. So he gets called out of the game because now, with all the stuff, precautions with blood, they pull him out of the game. He's going into the locker room, and his nose is a mess. And the trainer says, what do you want to do? And Craig's like, stitch it up. Get me back in the game. Now, here's the funny thing about the story. So Craig's telling this story, and the audience is riveted. And Craig's like, and that's why, I have the drive to get this done, and I'm not going to be, you're not going to be, worrying about me giving up and things like this. And I jokingly said, Craig, you do know that's a story about child abuse, right? And he's like, what? I said, yeah, because you got to understand, this boy's thumb was messed up. His dad, makes him blow it open to play football. And Craig tells the story as an overcoming story. Now, I'm not one to adopt a liberal point of view on things, but I wanted Craig to understand you're not telling a very flattering story about your dad. Having your dad put you in a situation that made you a man, I get it. I understand what he's wanting to do, but that's pretty cruel. But Craig didn't see it that way. Not at all. He saw it as a story of overcoming, a story of success. And in his own way, I appreciate that. But what I will tell you is for Charisse Theron to make a story where her mom kills her abusive dad with a gun and the story becomes about the gun, that's distorted. But that's distorted in a way that doesn't empower. That's not empowering women. That's not empowering people to see spousal abuse as a bad thing. That's the wrong message.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
You might look at the news and wonder how the Democrats dare continue their lying, their ruse, their deceit. Welcome everybody, Kevin Jackson here. Kevin Jackson Show. KJRadio.com is where you can chime in. Send me a note if you like the program. Call us if you're even more brave, 844-551-8255. So some examples of ruses that we all know. The jig is up. The word is out. Nobody believes it anymore. This Russian collusion ruse is an example. Democrats know this is a straight up lie. Behind the scene, they justify their subterfuge with the notion that knowing the truth will ruin our view, the American public's view on politics, and particularly the Democrats. Remember when they were going to release the memo? And the Adam Schiff and other Democrats were going, this will undermine the FBI. This will undermine the way that we go get data. This will undermine this. It'll be Armageddon. You can't do it. Don't do it. People will be disturbed. Whatever. Oh, it's out. Well, hey, guess what? We're going to release ours, and it's got more data. It's all subterfuge. They know it's a lie. They created the lie. And now that it's backfired, they're going, well, here's the thing. It would be best for people not to know all the truth because, it's not good for the Constitution. People will not, I don't mean the physical Constitution. I'm talking about your own internal Constitution. It'll make you lose faith in America. You want another ruse? The ruse of Barack Obama. The ruse that Barack Obama is a good president. That he loves the country, that he loves everybody, that he wants to see what's best for America, and on and on. It is a flat out lie. So why continue this ruse? The evidence is in. It was in after his first term, and we re-upped with him. I mean, not us, but many Americans did, and a few of you did. I don't look for me to give you comfort. There's no comfort in voting for Barack Obama and the Kevin Jackson Show. Why continue the ruse that Barack Obama is a good president? We have ample evidence that he wasn't. Massive debt. The most divisive president in the history of this nation. Now, the Democrats will offer that they don't want to destroy race relations in America. Something, by the way, that they continue to do. They do it all the time. They don't want to let on that Barack Obama set race relations in America back decades. They don't want to tell you that Barack Obama had such a horrendous fiscal policy that we amassed a huge debt. They don't want to tell you that Barack Obama used that debt in order to prop up a failing economy that he couldn't fix. That Barack Obama had no rationale, no financial or economic background to know how to deal with the nation's economy, with the largest economy in the world. That Barack Obama's feckless foreign policy has led to us spending trillions of dollars that we never should have spent, nor should we have to. Barack Obama, you want to talk about school shootings? The shooting in Maryland, the shooting in wherever? You want to talk about the bombings that are now going on in Austin, Texas, and San Antonio? I give you the policies of Barack Obama. I give you the policies of leftism. Show me something that worked. You got better schools? You got fewer people going into the penal system, particularly blacks? You got more or less business starts under Barack Obama. Show me something that worked. Did he fix the post office? Are they delivering mail more efficiently? Give me something. Give me anything. Did he do the cost-cutting measures that he talked about, where he said he's going to cut the government staff, he's going to, put freezes on such and such, do this, that, and the other? What happened with government under Barack Obama? Did it shrink or did it grow? The deficit, did it shrink or did it grow? What about our credit rating? Did we get it back at the end of his term with this great economy, this recovery that he claimed existed? Barack Obama said with his own words, Trump couldn't save Carrier, and manufacturing wasn't coming back, and it's come back. Now do a compare and contrast. Look at what Donald Trump's done, the number of manufacturing jobs that have been created, something over, 200,000 plus manufacturing jobs year one. 2-3 million jobs have been created since the dude took over. An economy that's ready to boom, unemployment at the lowest rate, optimism at its highest. You want to do a compare and contrast, and then you want to tell me that that's not a ruse of Obama? Let me ask you another question. Do you believe Barack Obama would have gotten elected if he were white? The answer is no. Do you believe he would have been reelected if he were white? The answer is no. Do you believe he would be held in some high esteem if he were white? The answer is no. Anybody that loses over 1,000 seats for your party should not be canonized. And yet, what do we talk about? We talk about Barack Obama's got his book deal. Netflix wants the Barack Obama story, whatever. Netflix doesn't want that. Nobody cares about his book. Nobody cares about his library. He doesn't even have anything in the library that remotely resembles him. Nobody knows him. You want to know why? Because he is a deceitful man. Barack Obama's wife doesn't even completely know him. He's a deceitful man. They say he's cool. I say he's calculating. But the ruse of the left is he's the best thing since sliced bread. And he'll tell it to you. When I was in office, you should be thanking me. Donald Trump inherited an amazing economy. Donald Trump would have been, let me say, there's nothing that Barack Obama could have handed Donald Trump that he couldn't fix in his sleep. The same way he fixed Carrier. Other ruses, the ruse of illegal immigration. It's cost positive, man. They just went out of the shadows, man. They're not harmful to the economy. They aren't creating more crime than any other citizen. Now you got people all over the country setting aside money, taxpayer money, to protect these clowns. People that have stolen identities and stolen jobs from American citizens, stealing needed services. A couple $1 million here, $1 million there, 10 million here, LA, Baltimore, etc. Why? Skipping all over the poor people that need it. Not putting programs together to help their citizens, but no. Because we have the ruse of illegal immigration. Why? Because that's where the money is. We have the ruse, folks, that bringing in Muslims is going to help us. Because they're not terrorists. Despite what you hear, there are no terror cells. There's nobody trying to kill us. Islam is a religion of peace, we're told. I'd sure like to see it. Henry A. Wallace served as vice president under FDR, Franklin Delano Roosevelt. Like Roosevelt, he was a racist. But he described fascism, and here's what he said. A fascist is one who lusts for money or power, is combined with such an intensity of intolerance towards those of other races, parties, classes, religions, cultures, regions, or nations as to make him ruthless in his use of deceit or violence to attain his needs. And what Henry A. Wallace did was describe leftism perfectly. He described his very boss, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, one of the most vile creatures on the planet, and Sheila Jackson Lee had the nerve to actually use him as an example of somebody she looked up to. Franklin Delano Roosevelt. He was a great man. He was a cross-burning racist who appointed a member of the Klan to the Supreme Court as well as a white segregationist. And Wallace, who was his VP, wants to tell you exactly what the Democrats were at the time. But that was when they wanted to shift it over. And during that time frame was when black folks made the biggest political shift in the history of man, probably the biggest political shift anywhere in the world, where we went from voting 95% Democrat to voting 95% Republican to voting 76% Democrat. That's a huge turnaround. But let's go back to deceit. Why the Democrats deceive you? Why do they not want to tell you the truth about Barack Obama? Why do they not want to tell you the truth about this stupid investigation of the left, etc.? Here's what they will tell you, what it boils down to in a nutshell. Democrats see deceit as love. I know that's a strange definition, given that love should be mostly void of deceit. The person that you feel like you can share your most intimate details with is probably the person you're married to or best friends with or whatever. And if you're lucky, you're married to your best friend. And you can tell that person anything. So it's the old saying is, try not to lie to these folks or whatever, right? You don't want to lie to people that you deal with, that you're close to. If you're going to lie, you lie to somebody you don't care about, in theory. But Democrats see lying and deceit as love. They see it as, hey, does this dress make my butt look fat? And no. They see it as that kind of a lie. It's a good lie for you because I'm protecting you. I'm keeping you away from things that might disturb you. This is for your own protection, that I don't tell you that we tried to keep Donald Trump out of office. And we did it at all cost. They don't want to tell you. We elected Barack Obama because we felt like his race was going to help us to secure more votes. We want illegal immigration and because we want those votes, and it'll help us to help you in the long run because you're too stupid to know what to do. And same with Muslim terrorism, the same with our foreign policy, same with our tax policy and everything else. It's all for the betterment of you, and it's because we love you as they hit you in your face.
Kevin Jackson on the Black Sphere Radio Network.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177. Or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.
Putting an end to identity politics. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
I have good news for you, America. The left doesn't want you to know the good news, though. But luckily for you, you are listening to the Kevin Jackson Show and you are hearing the good news. You remember when knowing God was considered good news? That's what they would do. I think there's a good news Bible. I grew up in a religious family. We weren't like, we didn't sit around reading Bible verses or anything, but we went to church every Sunday. And I'll be honest, when I was a kid, it was like, it was drudgery. It isn't like going to church today where kids have their own little special areas and they learn, from a kiddie Bible and, they come back, they learn stuff. My kids went to, that type of a church. And so they learned about the Bible. They could quote scripture and they knew the stories and what they meant and all that. It wasn't, when I went to church, I could tell you the story of the Ark of the Covenant. When Jericho, the walls came tumbling down. I could tell you a couple of stories, Easter story, whatever. Christmas, there's a couple of things, but you didn't like study the Bible and understand the churches and the very, Corinthians and Ephesians and whatever else. You didn't understand it. You were just like, and we're going to read from Ephesians chapter such and such verses this and that and no, go forth and do that and be thou this way. And so that was what you learned. As I got older, I wanted to learn, go to a church that was sort of a study church where they say we're going to have 6 weeks of this study on, 2 Corinthians or, we're going to study the Gospels or whatever else. Oh, okay, cool. And you could commit things to memory. I like that. I like growing up religious. I like growing up understanding my place in the world. But somewhere along the line, knowing God got ridiculed. It became ridicule, something for people to make fun about. The left tried to shame God out of our lives. I'm not trying to preach here. I'm setting this up for some other stuff. For those of you who are going, when did I turn it on to a religious channel? Huh? Billy Graham died, didn't he? That don't sound like Billy Graham, is it? No, I'm not Billy Graham. Billy Graham was a hero to me. If I were anywhere close to that man, I would consider myself an amazing success. Anyway, the left tried to shame God out of you. They try to shame it out of your kids right now. If your child is religious and goes to college, they will try to shame it out of him. You need to come hang out with us at spring break. Are you watching these spring break celebrations? They have security people at all these beach resorts, FBI even, undercovers. Because the stuff that goes on at these spring breaks will blow your mind. One of the spring breaks, I think it was a couple years ago, a girl was raped publicly by multiple kids, and others just stood around. I mean, how does that even happen? Was she so toasted out of her mind that, what could you possibly be saying? If you see a girl that drunk, you'd have to be, if you were sane, I would hope you'd raise your kids and say, what are you guys doing? On the cell phone calling the cops. She's plastered. Or certainly, if she wasn't plastered and they, people were surrounding her and doing this, like that Jodie Foster film. How do you do this? How do you let people get away with this kind of thing? This is what's going on right now. You think these kids that are celebrating spring break are down there thinking about how they were raised in God and what would Jesus do? You think they got their what would Jesus do bands on? Come on, man. And the overwhelming of those kids are looking for these parties, looking for things to get into. And look, I'm all about have fun, be with your buddies for spring break. but the stuff that these people do is crazy. Girls gone wild, boys gone wild, co-eds, students gone wild, American millennials gone wild. It's crazy. So there's a peace that comes from understanding how insignificant you are is when you're alone, when you don't have that thing that you hold on to. But there's also a peace that comes from knowing how big you are when you say to yourself that God's in control of you, that there's a something driving that's bigger than you. If you get up in the morning and you think you're significant, you're listening to this program, you're going, that Kevin Jackson, he's significant. I am insignificant. I just want to be truthful with you. I am insignificant. So failed, so flawed, it's ridiculous. And the only thing that makes me powerful, if you will, is I understand how small I am in the scheme of things, how worthless I am, because there's something better. But here's the deal. What drives us to share this time together, for you to listen to me and for me to, know that you're listening to me, because I can't obviously hear you, is that I know there's a bigger purpose to all of this. Am I trying to figure it out? No, there is nothing to figure out. See, let me tell you why. There's nothing to figure out because all I care about is the truth. And that's all you care about. It isn't an agenda. It isn't, hey, Kevin Jackson's going to be the biggest thing since sliced bread. That ain't happening. I've been doing this a long time. I don't even care. Maybe that's part of the reason why. God hasn't said to me, Kevin, you will get up and you're going to be driven today. And you're going to make this happen. Now, I've given myself ultimatums regarding my time because I'm getting less and less of it. So are you, by the way. So are your kids and your grandkids. We all have less and less of it. But as we get closer to our end, in other words, I'm on the back end of the mountain here, and it ain't downhill. What they don't tell you is when you get over the mountain, it's just a bigger mountain range. It's a lot smaller to climb, but it's a lot more difficult. An acquaintance of mine climbed Mount Everest 3 times. When I say climbed it, he failed the first time, and he was probably 2,000 yards or so from summiting, and then 2,000 feet, I should say. Then the second time he did it, he was 100 yards from the top, and he didn't make it. Now we look at it and you go, he's 100,000 yards from the top and he didn't make it? What kind of crazy man was that? And if you knew everything it took to get there and all the orchestration, you'd go, surely he'd go that last 100,000 yards. It would be just in sheer will. No, it would have been certain death. That's what it would have been. So we're at we're trying to get that last 100 yards when you get older. So time becomes precious, more precious to you, and you understand that you need to get closer to something to understand what was this all about? What was the meaning of all of this? That's what Solomon talked about at the very end of his life. What was it about? He had amassed all the riches and the intellect. He was the smartest man that ever lived, and he was the richest man that ever lived. He would have been worth, I think they said something like $4 trillion or $40 trillion in today's terms. And he said, after all of this, all of the knowledge, all of the money I've amassed, he says, at the end of the day, the translated word, I believe, is vapor. Vapor. So why do we get up? Why do we do this? Because we do it for truth. If I wanted to go do something and make more money and drive, if I want to go get myself a Bugatti, I'll go get a Bugatti. Give me a Lamborghini. I saw both of those cars, by the way, when I was in LA. I could go get those. But, okay, I'd get them and then what? Chase, Kevin, get a TV show. Fox gives me a TV show or somebody gives me a TV show, great. Are we going to pursue our mission? Absolutely. But so what? You get a TV show. A few more people know you. Who cares? I don't care. I don't care if anybody knows me. The only reason why I have to be known is to spread the word. Why? Because that's where the truth is. We have people demonizing you, demonizing your kids, demonizing our way of life. Because why? We want to tell the truth about things. I don't want to mislead anybody. Particularly, I'm not talking. I mean, if you want to ask me a question that I think is personal, I may throw you off the track just to make you spin you around, have some fun. But if you ask me something like, Kevin, what advice would you give to my kids or what advice would you give to me about my business or about my life or whatever, I would not intentionally mislead you. I want you to have a very fruitful life. By the way, I say this to liberals, leftists listening to this program. If you are sincere about what you want from me, I will give you everything. I've taught martial arts most of my adult life, and the best compliment I ever got was, Kevin, you never hold back. You give everything when you teach. You find a kid that can theoretically beat you, you teach him how to beat you. Most instructors don't want to do that. I want to teach you how to be the best you could possibly be. And that's what we do this. And so we get a guy elected that gives us the highest consumer confidence in 14 years, lowest unemployment for minorities, lowest unemployment for women, the best quarter of income for the federal government in history. And I could go on, and these people fight him. But things are changing, folks. We are starting to see things all over the world begin to change because of the decisions that we've made, because we've decided that we want to deliver truth to folks. I got to leave it there for now. We'll be back.
He won't stop until he's the top-rated radio talk show host in America.
What kind of weird competitive freak are you?
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Welcome, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. We share the absurd with the left. Pardon me. Glad you guys are here. KJRadio.com. And you may be thinking, Kevin, what are you talking about? We share the absurd with the left. But we do. We share the absurd with the left. In one area of conservatism, we are absurd. Have I intrigued you? I hope so. There's a guy, a Danish philosopher. His name is Søren Kierkegaard, and he's considered to be the father of existentialism, the school of philosophy that puts the individual and his emotions, his thoughts, his responsibilities, and actions at the center of considerations. Kierkegaard's influence was really strange in that it extended to both the secular philosophers, people like Martin Heidegger and Jean-Paul Sartre. These were the people who were important in radicalizing the 1960s, but he also influenced theologians like Karl Barth and Emil Brunner. So Kierkegaard played this crucial role in shaping the way people thought during the 20th century. But to understand him, it's important to understand how he understood God. So for Kierkegaard, God was utterly transcendent, and infinite qualitative difference separated God from humanity. In other words, there is no way we could ever get to him. He's just impossible to reach, impossible to understand, and so on and so forth. So for Kierkegaard, faith wasn't about knowing or an act of trust in God and God's goodness and God's love for us necessarily. Instead, it's a belief in the, quote, strength of the absurd. And by absurd, he means that God contradicts reason. In other words, we only believe in God because we have faith in God, not because we actually see him, not because he's actually there going, hey, Kevin, do this or do that. I tell you all this, and I give you a little background on Søren Kierkegaard, because here's one of the things that he said that was pretty profound. He says, life is not a problem to be solved, but a reality to be experienced. A reality to be experienced. I want you to think about that just a bit. Do you remember days or do you remember moments? I know I remember moments. You said to me, Kevin, what did you do 3 weeks ago on Wednesday? I don't know. I don't have a running calendar. I remember Netanyahu saying, why do people take pictures? I don't understand why they take pictures. I mean, it's just capturing this moment. This moment is it's nothing. It is already past. Enjoy the moment. Enjoy the moment. You're here with me. Why do you need to take a picture? And a lot of people, they want to capture that moment. They want to capture those memories. And I understand that. I really do. But at the end of the day, what do you remember? You remember the moment. For Netanyahu, it's not a big deal when he meets you, but when you meet him, maybe it's a big deal. So you want to capture the moment. I was here when Netanyahu was in town or whatever. You remember possibly where you were when Mike Tyson lost the championship. You remember possibly where you were when the World Trade Center went down. You capture those moments. So life is fleeting. I mean, it's passing by. And let's face it, you don't have as many moments as you did. You certainly won't remember as many. How many times has somebody said, do you remember when we, and you're like, oh, well, kind of, but not really. And who's capturing what? I don't know. I don't know why it just hit me, but I'm thinking about life. We've been talking about deceit. And I'm trying to put that all together some kind of way today on the show. See, because we've been deceived. I'm remembering a lot of the moments. Do you remember the moment of Hillary Clinton getting her butt kicked? I remember that moment. That's one I will remember for quite some time. I will remember talking about this episode of history where Donald Trump gets elected, and then the deceit, everything that we've started discovering about what the country, what the government has been doing to us. But there's hope. See, the art of using deceit and cunning grow continually weaker and less effective to the user. That's a quote from John Tillotson. And Tillotson is saying, the more you deceive, the less people believe. So we are finally reaching a point where it's getting tougher and tougher to deceive us. Oh, the left thinks they do. They want to believe that they are still able to do it, boy. We'll keep those investigations going. We're going to keep this thing moving. Donald Trump starts tweeting out, when are you going to end this thing? This is ridiculous. Needs to be over. And you know what? The public is finally going, it does need to be over. I talked about the poll I saw that said people care about Russia 1%. Will it influence you in the next election? 1%. That's normally enough for the media to go, done deal. That's normally enough for the Democrats to go, move on. But they can't. I told you earlier in the broadcast, maybe we talked about it the other day. The Democrats are in a rock and a hard place. They shut down the Russian investigation, and guess what? The new one has to open up. It's not over. Trump's not that forgiving. They know this. Trump's going to be vindictive and say, why aren't you looking at Hillary? Do you look at his tweets? Trump's not saying, shut it down. It's stupid. That's the end of it. He's saying, they covered up for Hillary. Why aren't you investigating Hillary? When it's done here, it's going over there. And when it goes over there, those dominoes start to fall. Democrats can't let it go. I want to go back to the absurd. So we share this absurdity, which, by the way, the Democrats are absurd. I just described it to you. But we share this absurdity with the Democrats. We share the absurdity that we believe in something bigger. And we believe in this infinite distance between us and this higher being. This thing that drives our actions and things of this sort. The existentialism, if you will, of God. And the Democrats believe in the absurd. That's where we partner with them. But here's where we distance ourselves from them. Our absurdity is in something that's bigger and more grandiose than we are, and it drives our actions to something for the greater good. Democrats believe in the absurd, and their absurdity drives you to evil. It drives you to things that cannot be productive for your society. It can't even be productive for you as an individual. It showcases all of the worst characteristics of man. Their absurdities do. Our absurdity, the thing that they try to ridicule us for, a belief in something bigger than we are, is not absurd at all. It's, as they say in the Bible, walk by faith, not by sight. And so that's what we do. Back in just a bit.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177. Or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.
Beth Cook Moranville, author of Closer Than Your Breath, a book of hope.
Hope, that wonderful, wonderful 4-letter word that you may feel completely out of. I wrote this book to give you great hope. It's not too late. If fetal position is an all too familiar place for you, I understand. If the next 60 seconds are too long, this book is for you. Wherever you are right now, whether you're dealing with divorce or death or sickness, take hope. You are going to make it through this pain. Don't roll your eyes. I've walked this road and I know it. The best is yet to come.
Closer Than Your Breath, a book of hope from author and speaker Beth Cook Moranville, can be found on Amazon.com or Kindle.com. For more information, visit closerthanyourBreath.com or on Facebook at Closer Than Your Breath.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Chuck Swindoll said, life is 10% what happens to you and 90% how you react to it. I agree with that. Welcome, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. It's the Kevin Jackson Show, 844-551-8255. The reason why I'm talking about life is because we talk about guns when there's time when somebody gets killed. But we don't talk about life and what happens when 13 kids get killed in a bus accident. We don't talk about grounding planes when X number of people are killed in a plane thing. It has to be the tragedy of the gun. It can't be the tragedy of gravity. Nobody talks about doing away with gravity. Gravity causes more deaths than a lot of things. I don't know how many, but gravity is responsible for all plane deaths for the most part, right? I mean, for the most part, maybe there's a death on the runway, people just planes smack into each other, but generally speaking, gravity causes that death. It causes death from skydiving. It causes death from skiing down a mountain, avalanches. Gravity causes a lot of deaths. We never hear anybody challenging that. So I want to talk about guns for a second because I came up with this thing about the number of things that will kill you, and it hit me. What kills people more than teenagers in particular, because that's what we were talking about with Parkland, what kills more teens than the AR-15? By the way, Stephen Williford, a retired NRA instructor, stopped the Sutherland Springs mass shooter with an AR-15, but the mainstream media didn't give him any coverage. They didn't give him the platform that they gave that charlatan David Hogg. So I want to talk about how important life is and why the left, for them, it's a ruse. The idea that your life has meaning is just one of those things that says we've got to have money to educate the kids. We've got to have money to help the poor people. What about the elderly? What about the women? What about black people? What about the immigrants? It's all a ruse. And the idea that these people want to help kids and that they value life is ridiculous. They do not value life. Colin Rugg said this. He tweeted this: please support my movement to raise the smartphone ownership age to 21 because 11 teens die from smartphones each day, much more than an AR-15. He says, if you don't support this, you're a greedy loser who wants to see children die. Now, here's what I like about this. It's right up a page from the Kevin Jackson book of how to deal with leftism. National Walkout Day. You guys remember this. It wasn't that long ago. Last week, when teachers forced kids, many of them, to walk out. There was a kid who stayed in. He says, I'm not walking out. They suspended him. I want to make this kid a hero. Why should he have to walk out? The idea that they're shooting his time that his parents paid taxes for so they could support some BS cause is enough for us to sue that school district and everybody in the food chain who said he was suspended. Wouldn't you like to see stuff like that litigated? There's a new report from the National Center for Health Statistics that found the period from 1999 to 2006 of the more than 16,000 teenagers that die annually. Here's what they're killed from. Auto accidents. Most from auto accidents. In other accidents, murder, suicide, and disease. Nowhere on there is guns. That's the top of the list. So here are the actual numbers. On average, 16,375 teenagers, 12 to 19 years of age, die in the United States every year from 1999 to 2006. Less than 1% of all deaths that occur in the United States each year are teenagers. The 5 leading causes of death among teenagers are accidents, unintentional injuries, and you can imagine that. It's certainly from the ages of 12 years to 19 years old. Those are, some of us might even determine those are the stupid years, right? So accidental injuries, homicide, number 2, suicide, number 3, cancer, number 4, and heart disease, number 5. Now, I'm going to throw in some other stuff in there that I don't know. I mean, I'm going to believe this report, but I'm going to throw a couple of other things in there. As a category of accidents, okay, here's where they cover it. Because I was about to say, I know more teens are killed in car accidents than almost anything. And that's what they said. Motor vehicle fatality is the leading cause of death to teenagers, representing over 1/3 of all deaths. So of those 16,000 kids that are killed every year, well over 5,000 are the ones that get killed in car wrecks. Now that makes sense. So when you think about all the things that these guys could be looking at in terms of gun, look, I don't know how many gun deaths there are for teenagers. I'm talking about like what happened at the school, because the homicides, are probably many of those are gun related. The suicides probably the same, even though I think probably some kids would take drugs or what have you. And I don't have these statistics. I'm going, we're just winging it here. And this is purely speculation. But there are so many things that are so much more important in the scheme of things. Why are they fixated on guns? And this is the question you should be asking liberals. I'm arming you with information to say to them, if the number one thing that kills teenagers every year are motor vehicles, why are we letting them drive? Why don't we have better safety precautions? Why is that number's not lowering every year? In fact, some of the reasons why these kids are dying is because of the types of cars their parents are getting them. Smart cars. These little death traps. Well, that's another show for another time. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. So, privately owned swimming pools are nearly 5 times more likely to cause accidental death than having a gun in the house. Your swimming pool is more dangerous than a gun in your house. Where's the ban of pools? Why aren't they marching every time kids are killed in pools? Why aren't they marching every time kids are killed in automobile accidents? Here's another one. Kids under the age of 15 are twice as likely to be killed each year by cars backing over them in driveways than by accidental firearm discharges. I mean, that's somebody getting very granular in looking at the statistics. But here's the fun fact. Among teenagers, non-Hispanic black males have the highest death rate, 94.1 per 100,000 population. Just so you're aware, that is like living in a bad city. Homicide is the leading cause of death for non-Hispanic black male teenagers. For all other groups, accident is the leading cause. Do you see anybody addressing what is the number one problem with black teenagers dying? You going to see any march for this? I'm not talking about Black Lives Matter. I'm not talking about cops killing them. I'm talking about them killing each other. You going to see anything about this? Leftists don't care about life, and they certainly don't care about black lives.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Relief setting in parts of this country this morning. The breaking news: the suspected serial bomber in Texas is now dead after that showdown with a SWAT team overnight. Here's what we know at this hour. The suspect is a 24-year-old white male. He did kill himself, blowing himself up. They believe he's linked to 6 explosive devices that killed 2 people. Let's get right to our senior national correspondent, Matt Gutman. He's on the scene in Austin with the very latest for us. Matt, good morning.
Good morning, David. Still an ongoing and active scene. You can see behind me how many police cruisers are there. There's also an ATF vehicle and a command center from the Austin police. Now, forensics teams are still combing through that bomb site. They are trying to determine whether or not this suspect who blew himself up as SWAT teams approached was wearing a suicide vest. But what they do know for certain is that 19 days that have terrorized this city are finally over.
Authorities say the man they believe is responsible for terrorizing the city of Austin is now dead.
We had surveillance teams looking for this suspect, and we ultimately located the vehicle that this suspect was known to be driving, and witnesses told us he was driving. And in fact, we found that at a hotel right up the road here in Round Rock. As members of the Austin Police Department SWAT team approached the vehicle, the suspect detonated a bomb inside the vehicle, knocking one of our SWAT officers back, and one of our SWAT officers fired at the suspect as well.
Well, there you have it. They got the guy. Dun, 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 dun. Got him, a day ago? When reports came of the death of the Austin bomber, the immediately informed us that he was a white man. Did you listen to that report? Hey, welcome everybody. Kevin Jackson. It's a Kevin Jackson radio show. KJRadio.com. It's the KJRadio.com radio show. Austin bomber. Collective sigh of relief that Mark Condit was not a Muslim. In the original reports, you didn't hear anything reported about him there. Just he's a white male, 24 years old. If he were Muhammad Hakam, you can bet they would have concealed his identity from you. But there was this other sigh of relief. I guarantee you that on the left it was going, just praying for what he would be. You know, going, man, I hope this isn't a Muslim, or I hope this isn't some crazy black guy. They were hoping this was a white dude. I'm telling you. While the conservative Americans are concerned, we're concerned about the people who are being terrorized in Austin, Texas. I have a son who lives in Austin, Texas. I have much family who lives in Austin, Texas. My cousin Nita, my cousin Eric, my cousin Joe. I already mentioned my son. My brother isn't very far away from Austin, and he travels there all the time. And I have many friends in Austin that I've dealt with, guys that worked at Dell Computer for years, friends of mine. And, you know, I'm concerned. I'm going, I don't care what this guy is, whether he's white, black, Muslim, 8 to 80, blind, cripple, or crazy, as we say. What I cared about is that they find him, whoever he or she is, and stop him from terrorizing the city. But not the left. The left, they're like, well, he's bombing people, but what? Who cares about that? Let's just hope he's not Muslim. Let's hope he's not from Islam, the religion of peace and bombs and blowing people to pieces. Please don't do that. What if it were an irony that we would have learned that Mark Condit converted to Islam? Wouldn't that be an irony? After all this, he's a white male. White male. Oh, by the way, he had changed his name to Rashif Kakam or whatever, and now he's converted to Islam, and he had put a post on Facebook that he was going to kill all the white people or something. Or kill black people, because it killed a couple of black folks. But what if he had converted? Yeah, but here's what's interesting. When the identity of the Austin bomber was discovered, TMZ, you know who TMZ is, right? You guys, I mean, I know you guys know who TMZ is because you watch it all the time. It's TMZ is one of these. It's leftist because it's Hollywood, but Harvey Levin, he stands in front of a bunch of millennial types and they just go out and get stories of people. I played a clip the other day from TMZ where they had found Ann Coulter and asked her a question about Trump maybe it was about Michael Flynn or something. But anyway, TMZ is this pop culture thing where Harvey Levin asks questions and they, throw answers back, funny stuff, and et cetera, et cetera. Well, they reported on Mark Condit. And here's what they said. I'm going to read it exact. Austin bomber Mark Condit was apparently homeschooled by his mom, who proudly announced on social media back in 2013 she graduated him from high school. Condit, who was 23 at the time of his death, seemed to be contemplating going on some sort of mission. His mom wrote, "He's thinking of taking some time to figure out what he wants to do. Maybe a mission trip." His mom also posted a picture of Condit snowboarding in 2013. Police say Condit is responsible for the string of bombings that left 2 dead. So far, authorities are in the dark as to his motive. Now I saw this report and went, holy crap. Could you just lap more gushy gooey white conservatism on this kid? Condit was homeschooled and he was planning a mission trip. Homeschooled by his mom, no less. And oh my goodness, she proudly announced he graduated from high school and that he may be taking some time out to figure out what he wants to do on a mission trip. And then what does she do? She sticks him in the Great White North snowboarding. Surrounded by what? Come on. Think about it, snowflakes. Come on, white folks. Yeah, surrounded by snow, the white stuff. She didn't have him, hanging out at a church's chicken, picture of him, eating a thigh. No, she puts him in the whitest situation she could have. And that's what they gleaned off of his Facebook page or her Facebook or wherever they got the information. The narrative has conservative written all over it. He's a rich white boy, homeschooled, who was going to go on a mission trip, and he went off. Yeah, he went off. All that Bible teaching, all that homeschooling, all that snowboarding, hanging out with all that white privilege. And you can bet, folks, leftists are digging into Condit's life, looking for anything to associate him with the Confederate flag or neo-Nazism. God forbid he took a picture by a Confederate monument while he was with his girlfriend or on a trip somewhere. Excuse me. I don't know if you were really following this story, but Condit had already been painted as a racist. See, they were labeling these bombings as potential hate crimes. They were quick to point out that the 2 people who had been killed, the dead people that these bombs had gone after, were black people. Thus, this was a possible hate crime. The hatred of blacks was his motivation. Then they profiled this young black man who was I think he played the cello. I just remember seeing him, a picture of him. And all the lamestream media was talking about, even Fox was too, but just saying they were profiling the people who died, and rightfully so. But not the way that CNN and those guys, they profile them because they want you to understand. This guy killed a promising young black man. He was on his way to college. He was going to college. Look, I feel sorry. I don't care what the kid was going to do. He didn't deserve to be bombed. But they got to make it, oh yeah. The bombings couldn't just be a tragedy whereby the citizens of Austin of all colors, the citizens of all colors were in danger. No, not for the press. They had to colorize the crime, and the prime. They had scant evidence of Condit's life. But they dropped this morsel of homeschooled, planning a mission trip, and then they show you with that picture of him with his snowboard. Oh yeah, Condit was really white. Because homeschool children who are Christians and potentially going to go on a mission trip, yeah, they fit the demographic of suicide bombers. Oh yeah, especially when they snowboard, man. And they talk like this, like they're Valley boys. Hey man, gonna find some good ice. Gonna go down the mountain, dude. Yeah, dude. The left knows who commits these crimes. These crimes are committed by disgruntled Democrats. Period. Disgruntled Democrats are the most dangerous people on the planet. They're more dangerous than ISIS. And I'm going to make a prediction. That's why are you looking at me crazy? You know I make predictions. That's what this show is about. By the way, if you want to contact me, I'd love to get your take on it. KJRadio.com, there's a place to contact us, or 844-551-8255. I'm going to make a prediction. When Condit's life is really looked into, you're going to find out he was mired in Democrat pathology. A sad millennial that couldn't see life as a gift. I have no idea what set Condit off. I don't. I'm going to tell you right now. None of us do. The media is going to speculate, but here's what I know for a fact. Homeschooling and Christianity had absolutely nothing to do with this. But you can bet his influences from the left certainly did. We'll be back.
Kevin Jackson on the Black Sphere Radio Network.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177. Or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.
Putting an end to identity politics. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
If this was in a vacuum, the fact that Trump didn't read his briefing and congratulated Putin would not be the biggest deal in the world. America has to deal with Russia on a wide array of issues, from Iran to North Korea to Syria. But the problem is it fits in a pattern of taking at every opportunity, a pro-Putin stance. And it's not clear whether that is out of some view of American-Russian relations, or just this very weird psychological thing where if the president feels like he says anything bad about Russia, it somehow diminishes his electoral victory. And so in and of itself, congratulating Putin is not great, it's not ideal, but it's not the end of the world. It's the larger pattern that should be concerning to everyone.
Oh, they admit it. These crazy leftists. Oh, in and of itself, it's not bad that President Trump would congratulate Putin. But, when you think about it, when you're forced to think about it, when you're forced to, to promote a fake news narrative, when you're forced to put some sort of a bias on Russian coverage so that you can promote this idea that Trump and Putin are in collusion with one another, well, then in that context, it's bad. Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. It's the Kevin Jackson Show. I love watching leftists. I like watching them as they try to rationalize themselves. They try to justify what they're doing. So it's a pro-Putin stance when the president of a country says, hey, congratulations, Vladimir, on your election. That's standard procedure. I mean, what is this mystery here? What are we talking about? Anytime somebody gets elected, sometimes even when it's bad guys that get elected 100% because they force people to do it, you make a call. Hey, congratulations on your victory, with your finger quotes. But that's what heads of state do. Putin did it to Trump. congratulations, Mr. Trump, for making it valid. I'm shocked how you made it because, we did everything we could to help Hillary, but you made it yourself. Good for you. Yeah. Really? This is such a non-story. I want you to think about if Barack Obama had called Putin, probably did. I don't know how many elections Putin has had, but he probably called him at some point and said, hey, Vladimir, hey, congratulations on the victory. Just want to give a quick call. See, okay, talk to you later, bud. Bye-bye. And that was it. We wouldn't be saying a thing. I don't care who the president is. I don't care if Barack Obama calls the King of Siam or whatever and says, hey, congratulations on your victory. Congratulations, Theresa May in Britain. Congratulations, Angela Merkel of Germany or whomever. I don't know all these don't make me go too much farther. I don't know all the heads of state. But congratulations. And now we have to make it a big deal. Ooh, look at what he did with his pro-Putin stance. Did you hear this guy? A pro-Putin stance. And then he goes on to say this. It's a weird psychological thing that he's doing, and it's in and of itself in its normal mode. Well, it's not that, it's not a big deal, but it's a weird psychological thing. It's like if Donald Trump speaks bad about Russia, it diminishes his victory. How so? Because why? They want you to believe that the Russians are involved with Trump in this victory when we all know something different. You think Donald Trump really gives a crap what the Russians think about his victory? He doesn't care. In other than anecdotally saying, yeah, hey, if Putin's got information on Hillary, release it. I'd love to see it. I mean, hey, but more, I don't know, just drive-by media type stuff. But he doesn't care what's going on with Russia in that respect. And more importantly, has he not demonstrated that he's managing Russia? Look at who gave Russia the ability to go out and just steal territory. They annexed Crimea. They invaded Ukraine. I mean, Barack Obama, his Russian policy looks like he and Vladimir Putin spoon together once a quarter, whether they need it or not. Speaking bad about Russia diminishes Trump's victory, really? And then he ended it with this. That pattern should concern everyone. Everyone should be concerned about that. No, everyone shouldn't be concerned about that. But here's what Brennan had to say. Former CIA guy under Barack Obama. A guy who voted officially as a communist years ago. A guy who calls himself a jihad. And he actually believes himself to be associated with the Muslims. I'm not kidding you. Go do your research on Brennan and see what you find out about this guy. This guy was the head of Obama's CIA. If you want to know how the destruction of America was underway, go look at what these people were doing. But anyway, here's Brennan talking about Donald Trump. And this is priceless stuff. Seriously, here.
What do you chalk it up to? Why won't the president confront Vladimir Putin? Why won't he read the cards and say the things that you say need to be said to Vladimir Putin? Do you believe he's somehow in debt to the president of Russia?
I think he's afraid of the president of Russia.
Why?
Well, I think one can speculate as to why. That the Russians may have something on him personally that they could always roll out and make his life more difficult. Clearly, I think it's important for us to be able to improve relations with Russia. But the fact that he has had this fawning attitude toward Mr. Putin has not said anything negative about him. I think continues to say to me that he does have something to fear and something very serious to fear.
Do you believe Russia has something on him?
I believe that the Russians would not. They would opt for things to do if they believed that it was in their interests. And the Russians, I think, have had long experience with Mr. Trump and may have things that they could expose.
Something personal, perhaps?
Perhaps.
Welcome back. Oh, my gosh. That was torturous. It was very similar, if you notice what the other guy said. He said, like, speaking bad about Putin would diminish Trump's victory, and it's a pattern that everybody needed to be concerned about, that Trump wouldn't talk about Putin. So in that particular interchange where a former CIA director under Obama, an avowed communist and Muslim Brotherhood sympathizer, says Trump's in debt to Putin. Why? Because of the Iranian One deal? Why? Why is he in debt? Trump, doesn't have a building in Russia, doesn't have a golf course in Russia. What's he in debt for? So I love seeing this. And then he says, no, I think he's afraid of Putin. Okay, again, why? Is he afraid of Putin's economy? Is he afraid of Putin's military? What exactly would make a billionaire businessman who could buy and sell Putin, who, quite frankly, has no interest in Putin whatsoever, what makes him afraid? I have a theory. Are you guys interested in my theory? I have a theory of why Donald Trump is, according to John Brennan and all these other lefties, he's afraid of Putin. You want to hear my theory? You guys interested? All right, here's my theory. Barack Obama was afraid of Putin. That's my theory. Barack Obama was the biggest sissy president we've ever had. Jimmy Carter could have beat up Barack Obama. I'm just saying. He was a big sissy. And what they're telling you is exactly why we are witnessing what we're witnessing with the Russians. They tell you what's going on. The Russians have information on Obama, on Hillary Clinton, on all these lunatics. Think about it. What else could it possibly be? They keep telling you what he's got information on him. They're going to hold the American economy hostage. How are they holding the American economy hostage? Who's doing better? Let me ask you this question, people listening to the Kevin Jackson Show. By the way, if you want to chime in, KJRadio.com or 844-551-8255. So who's doing better? The Russians or the Americans? Under President Trump, who's doing better? Do you think the American economy is doing better or the Russian economy? Do you think that the American citizens are faring better or the Russian citizens? It's really that simple, isn't it? Let me ask you, under Obama, who do you think did better? Do you think the American economy was doing better? Certainly better than it is now, or is it doing better under Trump? It's a simple question. Do you think the average American is doing better, however you define it, under Barack Obama or under Trump? Even leftists know the answers to those questions. So what was funny, though, is he says the Russians may have something on him. Really? Or they may not. I love how they present these things. The Russians may have something on him. Okay? But then again, they may not, right? And did the guy push back? No. But then he says something very interesting. He says, clearly, this is what Brennan says, clearly we need to improve relations with Russia. Okay. How do you do that? By accusing the president of being afraid of him, etc. They all realize that. The other guy said it before when we were talking about Trump reaching out to Putin and saying congratulations. Clearly, it's not that big of a deal. That's what heads of states do. But yet, what are we talking about? The Russians, the Russians, the Russians. They say he's fawning all over the Russians. Then the guy asks him, do you believe that the Russians have something on him? They might have something. I mean, why even do this interview? Why do that interview when you know there's nothing but conjecture from a guy who, quite frankly, never should have been that high in our government?
He won't stop until he's the top-rated radio talk show host in America.
What kind of weird competitive freak are you?
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
There are leftists who want to pass a law to protect Robert Mueller, special prosecutor or special counsel Robert Mueller from Donald Trump. Welcome, everybody. Kevin Jackson here, to you listening to The Kevin Jackson Show. KJRadio.com, 844-551-8255. Have you noticed this? Have you noticed that the left want to protect a man who doesn't need protecting? The left is good about this. Who do the left protect? They protect women. Women don't need protecting. Conservative women would admit, we don't need any protecting. We got our men, we have guns, we have rights, we have laws, and we have ourselves. We can protect ourselves. I'm talking about against all enemies, foreign and domestic. Women are amazingly good at it. Certainly conservative women are. Leftist women are the ones who need protecting. because they're used to hanging on the coattails of men. They're used to, getting menial, taking the crazy classes in college and having nothing to fall back on for jobs except, those guys. Yeah, they're the ones that get stinking drunk, and you have to pass laws that say, hey, look, if you go out and get stinking drunk, people shouldn't take advantage of you. It's leftist women to do these kinds of things. Conservative women are like, I don't need laws for these types of things. I know how to protect myself. I have common sense. But not the left. Not those women. What about black folks? Do they need protecting? Oh, of course not. But leftists go, we got to protect those silly Negroes. They don't know what they're doing over there. They don't know how to vote. If we don't tell them how to vote, how are those black people going to vote? They were slaves. They've been oppressed. Their brains are fried. Some of them argue that we aren't as smart as they are. So they need to protect us. I'm going to tell you something. I've met a lot of black folks. Not many of them need protecting. We know how to protect ourselves. But leftists say, no, you need protection. Mexicans too. One of the most machismo group of people on the planet. Go up to a Mexican dude and say something about his mama or whatever. Man, what you say to me, man? Shoot. They get the switchblade out. Let's go, hombre. Come on, ese. They go to town. They're ready for battle. But no, the left will tell them, hey, we got to protect you. When you come over here illegally, you bandito, we got to make sure you don't have to live in the shadows. It's crazy how they want to protect folks. But anyway, now they want to protect Robert Mueller. They want to protect Mueller from Donald Trump. Here's what a buddy of mine sent me. He says, many in Congress are calling for a law to prevent Trump from firing Mueller. Now, keep in mind, this is a constitutional thing that the president can do. He has the constitutional authority to fire a special counsel. It is up to him and the top officials within the Justice Department, nobody else. And these separation of powers are what are inherent in the Constitution, and yet there are people going, you need to pass a law that doesn't let the president protect himself. Yeah. But here's what's most interesting about it. Forget the fact that it would be unconstitutional to do that. It's the idea that Trump's not going to fire Mueller. He said it publicly many times. Why would Trump fire Mueller when he's so enjoying Mueller kicking his own butt? Why would you fire a guy? I mean, that's just fun to watch. Donald Trump probably plays back video of Mueller and Comey in the FBI. He gets Melania and little Barron down. They get out I know they got to have a media room in the White House. And they just sit down and watch and laugh. Just laugh. All these leftists, all these crazy people. I bet if I were the president, I would have a team that did nothing but assemble clips of Hillary Clinton talking in India, talking about, and all the best people voted for me. And then Donald Trump hates black people. He hates women. He hates Robert Mueller. He hates Mexicans, and he hates Guatemalan midgets. And they would laugh. Oh, man. Donald Trump has said publicly, I ain't firing Mueller. So why the narrative? That's the question you should be asking yourself. Why do the left want Mueller fired? They want him fired. When they tell you, he better not fire him, they really want him fired. Now, they want him fired not only because they think it would be, they want Trump to do it and they think it would backfire on him. There's some other reason as to why they want this dude fired. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's because Mueller can't get them what they want. So now the only way for them to get what they want is to get Trump to fire Mueller. Trump has said multiple times, I'm not going to fire Mueller. Trump does far worse, though. Have you intrigued? What does Trump do that's far worse than firing Mueller? You guys, come on, tell me. You, tell me. I can hear you. The audience can't hear you. You don't know, right? But you do understand I'm right, correct? Yes, my producers know that I'm right. So, Trump does something far worse than firing Mueller. You want to know what it is? He keeps Mueller dancing in his tweets. Dancing in the tweets. Was it down in Phoenix, dancing in the tweets? Alabama, they're dancing in the tweets. Yeah, he's dancing in the tweets. Mueller is Trump's muse at this point. He is fodder for Donald Trump. President Trump takes whatever Mueller does and he just tweets about it. He just goes to town on him. Because he tweeted just recently, Mueller's added another Democrat to his team. Another anti-Trump Democrat. He's got a team full of Democrats that are most of them are embroiled in controversy, and he adds another Democrat. He tweeted that. It's a fact. I didn't even know that. Did you? Well, if you're following his tweets, now you do. And many people go, I didn't even know that, just like me. So then they go, ooh, that's not good. But he goes, but I ain't firing him. I'm just letting you know what he's doing. Mueller's now investigating, blah, blah, blah. It has nothing to do with collusion. Why isn't he looking at Hillary? Look, I talked about this the other day. I don't need to rehash it. But Trump doesn't just say, here's what Mueller's going after me. He says, Mueller's going after me, which I don't care. But here's where he should be going. And that second piece is the key. So I'm going to tell you something. I believe there will come a point in the very near future where the Democrats are begging Mueller to wrap it up, step down. They don't want to see the case gone, but they're going to say, end it in a way that it leaves it hanging. Like, was it when they have a hung jury where they say, it's a hung jury, but it doesn't mean that you're not guilty. We reserve the right to bring this back or blah, blah, blah. They're going to be begging him to do that. I'm telling you, watch it. This is what I predict. Trump does not want to fire Mueller. Mueller gives him the platform to keep the information flowing against the Democrats.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177. Or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.
Beth Cook Moranville, author of Closer Than Your Breath, a book of hope.
Hope, that wonderful, wonderful 4-letter word that you may feel completely out of. I wrote this book to give you great hope. It's not too late. If fetal position is an all too familiar place for you, I understand. If the next 60 seconds are too long, this book is for you. Wherever you are right now, whether you're dealing with divorce or death or sickness, take hope. You are going to make it through this pain. Don't roll your eyes. I've walked this road and I know it. The best is yet to come.
Closer Than Your Breath, a book of hope from author and speaker Beth Cook Moranville, can be found on Amazon.com or Kindle.com. For more information, visit closerthanyourBreath.com or on Facebook at Closer Than Your Breath.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. So, crazy news to report. Crazy news. Nazi dog. Have you heard this story? About the Nazi dog. Nazi dog. You ever heard of such a thing? Anyway, here's the deal. This Scottish man gets convicted. Get this. Convicted of a hate crime for making his pug do a Nazi salute on YouTube. This story comes from The Telegraph, UK. A man who filmed his girlfriend's dog performing Nazi salutes. It's tough not to laugh. What? Exactly. You're laughing over there. Nazi salutes, and he posted the footage on YouTube, and he's been convicted of a hate crime. Guys, before I go any further, let me tell you something. There are areas of the world now where you speaking your mind, I'm not talking about being divisive towards anybody, like saying, I want the Sultan killed or the president killed or whatever. I'm talking about just disagreeing, saying, you know what, I think these Islamic bombings, they've been growing over the decades, and I think Islam could potentially be a threat. Jailed. When you hear that they want to put you in jail in California, and in Canada too, by the way, Canada was looking to pass a law that said you must use the selective pronouns of these Nazi LGBT folks, that believe that there are 100 different genders, and you have to use their pronouns or you could be arrested. That's how crazy the leftist world has become. So anyway, this man films his girlfriend's dog doing Nazi salutes. He posts this footage on YouTube, and he's convicted of a hate crime. And what's funny about this particular situation is in the very same place where that occurred, a Muslim dude raped a young girl, like a 13-year-old girl, a 19-year-old guy rapes a 13-year-old girl, and he gets probation. But in the very same location, a dude jokingly puts his dog on YouTube doing Nazi salutes, and this guy has been convicted of a crime and is probably going to go to prison. Mark Meechan, age 30, recorded the pug Buddha. And how's that for some irony? Buddha responding to statements including, this is sick, but it's too funny. Gas the Jews. Of course, look, I'm completely pro-Jew. Certainly the people at ZOA that invited me to their event know that, and my Jewish friends, but this is funny. So he tells the dog, gas the Jews, and the dog raises his paw. And then he tells him, Sig Heil, and the dog raises his paw. That's hysterical. I'm sorry to laugh. It just tickles me because first of all, it's a joke. I can get my dog to raise his paw for tons of stuff because all you got to do is give him a signal, like a raise your hand, and there he raises his paw. And it's obviously a joke. I mean, I don't know this guy, Mark Meechan. I don't think Mark Meechan cares about the Hitler and neo-Nazi. And even if he did, who cares? It's his dog. Look, I'm going to tell you something. It is despicable as I find neo-Nazis and Black Panthers and all these people that have these crazy ideologies that where they believe color is the reason why they should inherit all the blessings of God or whatever. Whatever their ilk, they're a bunch of ignorant Neanderthals. But that's a whole thing beside it. I don't really care. If you want to train your dog to raise his fist when you say black power, should you be arrested? What kind of nonsense world do these people live in? Buddha. Buddha. They say gas the Jews, and old Buddha raises his fist. Black power. Here's the thing. I wonder, because you know that it was a pug that died at United in the overhead thing, that black pug. I haven't seen Buddha. I haven't seen the video. I'm gonna watch the video. Maybe we should all watch it, and then you guys can comment to me about it. But I'm gonna suspect that Buddha is not a black pug. I think Buddha's probably one of those light-skinned pugs with the dark eyes. You think? I'm just saying. I don't think Buddha is a pug of color. I'm gonna have one of you guys look that up on the internet for me before we get through with this segment. I don't know if we'll make it, but find out if Buddha is a dog of color, a pug of color, or if he's a white pug. Because I'm suspecting Buddha's a white pug. Sig Heil! Oh, man. Okay, so back to Mark. So Mark Meechan, age 30, and it's his girlfriend's pug. He's look, I don't know the backdrop of this. Nor do I care. I'm telling you right now, I don't even care. If Nazis want to teach their dogs the Sig Heil with their, and raise their paw, good for them. The dog. Do you think the dog really knows what he's doing? Give me a treat and, hey, I'll lick myself. You know what I'm saying? That's what a dog is like. Give me a treat. I'll do what you want me to do. If that's the way I have to get fed, I'll perform. Even the most stupid dog will get a treat. And for those of you who say, my dog won't do it. Yeah, well, let your dog get hungry enough. And then you get a little bag of treats and you say, sit. And you teach it how to sit. That dog will sit. A dog is a smart animal. Even dumb dogs are smarter than the average leftist. I'll tell you that. Anyway, Mark Meechan, 30, takes Buddha, teaches him a couple of Nazi things, but he could have been saying, Oprah's really skinny. And Buddha would have been, Heil Hitler. Buddha wanted the food. Buddha didn't care what he was asked. Barack Obama was my hero. Buddha raises his hand. Hillary Clinton is a runway model. Buddha, Heil Hitler. Buddha was going to raise his paw because Buddha wants to eat. Or dogs like performing for their masters. God knows, look at the black people that are Democrats. I mean, come on. These people will do whatever they say. Hey, black people, say FDR was an amazing guy, a racist Democrat. We love us some FDR. FDR, so what? He appointed racists onto the Supreme Court. So what? He said he'd never take a picture with a black man. We love us some FDR. Give me some more FDR. Or what about LBJ? We love us LBJ. So what? He hated black people. So what? He called black people the N-word. So what? He said I'll have them N-words voting Democrat for the next 100 years because they so stupid. I don't even care. And Buddha is brilliant. Buddha's freaking Einstein in comparison to these clowns over here. They don't even have to get fed. Anyway, Mark Meechan, age 30, teaching Buddha, the Heil Hitler. He's arrested following complaints about the video, which were viewed more than 3 million times after it was uploaded. Get this, 2 years ago. And this guy is going to prison, while a Muslim who raped a girl, he gets out on, his own recognizance. Be good.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Oh, it's a good day for singing a song, and it's a good day. I always like doing stuff like that with my producers because they're all looking at me like, man, what you doing? Yeah, especially when I come out with a song like that because they don't know where that comes from. They're like, Kevin, why don't you know? How you know all them white songs? You don't see no black people songs? I know some black people songs. Oh, this is the good news section. Oh, it's a good day for singing a song. Oh, it's a good day for rolling along. I don't even know who does that, but I know that it's a real feel-good song. It's a good day from morning till night. And it is. It's a good day. It's not just a good day. It's a great day. You want to know why? Because the teacher who called the military the lowest of the low, you remember that teacher? That teacher got fired. Yeah, go ahead. Congratulate yourselves. Let me do it for you. Come on. Let's clap. Congratulations. That teacher was fired. He was a Mexican dude. And he was like, well, if you join the military, you're all stupid anyway. You remember who else said something like that? John Kerry. Secretary of State John Kerry. You remember when France got attacked, he brought James Taylor over to sing, You've Got a Friend. France goes through a Muslim attack. And John Kerry says, hey, where's that folk singer that sings, You Got a Friend? When you're down and trouble and you need a helping hand. And here's the deal. I love James Taylor. He's crazy. I mean, I know his politics was pretty jacked up if he did agree to do that with John Kerry. And I know at one point he was an atheist, but I think he found God. But anyway, yeah, you got a friend. How stupid is that? And there's Kerry sitting there and James Taylor. I've seen James Taylor in concert many times. I love the dude, really. I love his song, love his voice, love the way he plays guitar. I wish I could play guitar like him. But he's nutcase. And to agree to do that, I would say, look, just send a recording over. Come on, John Kerry. Do you really need me to go? But James went. Yeah, I guess a free trip to Paris or whatever. And they were sitting next to each other like they were doing a little, well, hey, it looked like one of those NPR interviews like, well, James, let's talk about your career in music. Hey, John, thanks for bringing it up. Oh, man. Anyway, back to the teacher. So this teacher says lowest of the low, same thing John Kerry said of people that go into the military. These kids that go into the military, they don't have much of a chance. They're dummies. Yeah. Now, he went in because he wanted to serve his country. Yeah, he wanted to make sure everybody knew, I'm going to go fight for America. And then what did he do? He just came back and narked on a bunch of his fellow Vietnam vets. They were doing things in those villages, just that and the other, and blah, blah, blah. And I served, and I got all my Purple Hearts. He got Purple Hearts for a hangnail. Purple Hearts because, I don't know. He burned his hair when he was pressing it, when he was curling it or something. Purple Hearts for what? Clipping his nose hairs? Clipping toenails. He got his Purple Hearts for clipping toenails. Ow, 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 ow. I was wounded in battle. I went down to the quick. Oh, my goodness. Teacher fired, calling the military the lowest of the low. Okay, whatever. I talked about this. I'm just going to go through some news because we got a lot of news to cover here. Donald Trump tweeted something that I think is very interesting and very telling. He said, Department of Justice should have urged the Supreme Court to at least hear the driver's license case on illegal immigrants in Arizona. I agree with that Lou Dobbs. Should have sought review. So Lou Dobbs obviously tweeted something about the DOJ should have had the Supreme Court hear this case about illegals getting licenses. But what Trump is saying, this is what I love about this. He's saying that didn't go unnoticed on me. See, the Democrats are scheming. They're scheming all around the country. In Illinois, they're going to, hey, get this license, and then that license for illegals will allow you to vote. Then you can, nobody can question you. In California, get this. Now when you get your driver's license, you're automatically registered to vote. Automatically registered. Now, it's not like Australia where you are forced to vote, but that's the next step. California will begin. I'm telling you right now, don't be shocked if California says, if you don't vote, we're going to charge you a $100 fine that you'll pay when you need to pick up your welfare check or some needed government service. Don't be fooled for 1 second. That's going to be the next step. So I love that. Here's what this says about Donald Trump. He's watching all these things. People don't think this guy is tuned in. Somebody made the comment. I played a clip earlier in the broadcast. Made a comment. Donald Trump doesn't read his, even if he doesn't read his things about foreign policy or whatever else. Let me tell you something. Donald Trump is the most, He has his finger on the pulse of everything happening in government more than any president in modern history, and I include Ronald Reagan. Donald Trump is so tuned in, it's not alarming in a bad way, it's alarming in a good way. It makes you wonder, how does he put that much knowledge in there? How does he regulate that stuff? It certainly tells you how the guy turned out to be a billionaire, and I'll tell you something else. If Donald Trump was a vicious billionaire, like, say, Bloomberg or Zuckerberg or some of these other Bergs that are out there, I'm telling you, he'd be worth $250 billion. If somewhere along the line Trump hadn't grown a conscience and said, you know what, this is not fair, what's happening to the American public, he'd be worth $250 billion. Easy. He'd be investing. He'd know exactly where to put his money. This dude he's that astute. I'm telling you, I'm a believer. I'm not a huge fan necessarily of the style. I'm not. I'll tell you that right now. But I can overlook style because the results are absolutely amazing. Here's another tweet that I think was very interesting, and I've been talking about this for a bit. And we'll get into this because this has to do with the whole Fast and Furious and all these different things that are going to become all these Obama-era scandals. But there's one involving McCabe, and a guy's tweets, his name is Stonewall Jackson. He says, the media better be careful defending Andrew McCabe. He says, from everything I'm hearing, there's so much evidence against McCabe of years of dirty dealings and dirty politics. That's a sinking ship. This guy is alluding that even the leftists are smart enough to know, look, we got to jettison this guy. The IG report, he says, is absolutely going to destroy McCabe. Charges will be coming. Wow. Charges will be coming. Remember when I told you guys what Eric Holder said about, he said this. I said about 8 months ago that the actions and integrity of the men and women at the DOJ FBI would be unfairly questioned. It's happening. Can you imagine this guy believing that they're being unfairly questioned with everything that we know? But he says this, and it will get worse. Be prepared. Be strong. You have the support of millions committed to truth, justice, and the defense of the nation. Okay? So Holder knows. Comey knows. Many of these people know exactly what's happening here, folks. This is not good news. I don't know what I'm anxious as anybody else to see what else is going to come on McCabe. And we know that when it comes to things that happen inside of the government, things move very slowly. They move very slowly. What we've been able to see in the last year plus, quite frankly, is like light speed compared to what normally happens in government. And I want you to take heart, especially Carl, who's contacted me and said, Kevin, I don't believe anything's going to happen. I suspect Carl, listening to the program, is starting to get a little bit more of a glimmer of hope. Carl, if I'm right, let me know. I think some of you, many of you, and I'd like to know, I want to get your feedback. Give us a shout at kjradio.com or give us a call at 844-551-8255. But I'd really like to know, are you starting to feel a little bit more like, wow, things are starting to happen? And now, I don't want to be biased and tell you I've been, because I've been talking about it. And I don't want you to think about it from my perspective. I really want your opinion about it. If I help frame that out, that's fine. But I want to know what your thoughts are. Given maybe where you were a year ago, did you think Hillary is going to be brought to justice? Do you think Barack Obama is going to be brought to justice? Do you think Comey, McCabe, Peter Strzok, Lisa Page, Susan Rice, Loretta Lynch, Bill Clinton, and on down the line? We have a meme that shows all the people that are connected to this so far, not the minions. There are many minions inside, like the NSA, the FISA court judges, and others that are going to probably get caught up in all of this. But just look at that list of people and the ones who are in trouble and ask yourself, do you really think they're going to get away with this? Can all of those people suddenly die? Can all those people hold out? Because McCabe, I think, is, as I said, he's ground zero for this. Not because he's the person that initiated it, but because he's the one that finds himself in the hottest water. So I'm curious what you think. And I believe we're getting signs from guys like Eric Holder that says it will get worse. I believe him for them.
Kevin Jackson on the Black Sphere Radio Network.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177. Or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.
putting an end to identity politics. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Welcome back, everybody. I tweeted, I didn't tweet it. I talked about a tweet that Eric Holder talked about or did a while back. It was he said this. He said, I said about 8 months ago that the actions and integrity of men and women of the DOJ and FBI would be unfairly questioned. It's happening, and it will get worse. Be prepared. Be strong. You have the support of millions committed to the truth, justice, and the defense of this nation. And I said, that's Eric Holder, who's actually telling you that he's afraid, that he understands that the men and women at the DOJ and the FBI were definitely crooks, and it is going to get worse. That's the only part of it that's true in the statement. But they've done this America a complete disservice. And here's one of the things that came up that I don't know if a lot of people are aware of this, but this is from justice.gov. The Department of Justice enters into conditional settlement agreement to produce fast and furious documents to the House Committee on Oversight and Government Reform. This happened on March the 7th. The Department of Justice entered into this agreement with the House on Oversight and Justice for whatever, and will begin to produce additional documents related to Operation Fast and Furious. Now, I bring this up because Eric Holder's back into the spotlight. This is a guy that should have disappeared. Why isn't he? And he tweets about Comey. He tweets about all these things. Oh, Donald Trump, he's mean-spirited, this, that, and the other. And then we find out they're now going to look again in the scandal-free administration of Barack Obama requesting these documents. Now, thankfully, Judicial Watch has requested lots of stuff, and that's how we've gotten to some things. The IG has responded to it, Inspector General Horowitz, and we've gotten some answers. And, of course, we've got Julian Assange of WikiLeaks to thank for most of what has happened over the past couple years. But they said this conditional settlement agreement filed in federal court in D.C. would end 6 years of litigation arising out of the previous administration's refusal to produce documents requested by the committee. In announcing the settlement, Attorney General Sessions said, the Department of Justice under my watch is committed to transparency and the rule of law. This settlement agreement is an important step to make sure that the public finally receives all the facts related to Operation Fast and Furious. Now, for those of you who have forgotten, Operation Fast and Furious was gun running into Mexico. And it was allowed by the Fed, by Barack Obama's Fed, under the watchful eye of Eric Holder. Now, people were going, what was that all about, Kevin? Let me tell you what it was about. It was about getting gun dealers in trouble. That's what I think part of the thing was. But the bigger picture of it was they wanted to, supposedly they were going to mark these guns and see where they ended up. But they were trying to get the cartel to have enough ammunition so they could allow for an influx of illegals, and we would be able to offer them amnesty under the refugees status versus strictly illegals. It would be a way for the United States government under Barack Obama to say every illegal in this country is now protected as a refugee. That's not the way it was proposed. That's not how people talked about it. But that's what it was about. And Eric Holder and Barack Obama are knee deep in the scandal as to how it happened. And of course, they say they were scandal free. This is why you were so lucky that we got Donald Trump elected. Now, let's go back to Sessions. People, I talked the other day. People want to blame Jeff Sessions. He's a meek kind of seeming guy. He's a very nice guy, very amiable. He's amenable, I should say, amicable guy. He just, hey, how you doing? Got that old Southern thing. And I think, quite frankly, it may be more disarming than people realize, that he may be more of a real lion underneath that than he lets people on to be. That's a lot of way the country folks are. They come at you. Ray Charles called it, what do you call it? A country dumb. Because people think you're dumb, but you're really smart. They call it country dumb. I think that's the term. I'm not sure. But what the term that it's done, the context that it's used in is that people think because you talk like this here, you must be stupid. And so they think of you as country dumb, when in fact, you're smarter than they are. And I'm thinking Sessions may be fooling a lot of these folks. What do you think's going to come out of this? I don't know. I'd be curious to get your thoughts. KJRadio.com, or give us a call at 844-551-8255. So these ominous warnings that are coming from, Holder, Comey, and others. Watch out. Be careful. Ooh. By the way, Barack Obama, that I know of, did not chime in on the McCabe story. But here's another one that came out. An investigation of the FBI. A top House Republican, get this, is preparing to subpoena the Justice Department for records gathered by its Inspector General in the review of how the FBI handled its 2016 investigation of Hillary Clinton. I go back to that tweet from Eric Holder. More is coming. Folks, I'm telling you, I'm not an insider. I don't know what more is coming, but I do know more is coming. Lawmakers have clamored. They said this. This is according to two GOP sources, but they say lawmakers have clamored to obtain the 1.2 million documents that the Inspector General Michael Horowitz has gathered in his investigation, which has already led to the ouster of FBI Director Andrew McCabe, and on the eve of his retirement. But so far, Republicans have complained that the Justice Department has turned over only a few thousand of the documents. Representative Bob Goodlatte out of Virginia, chairman of the House Judiciary Committee, is preparing to issue an imminent subpoena to the department to produce the documents. Now, I mentioned to you guys before, according to Tom Fitton of Judicial Watch, he sued the Trump administration more than he sued Obama to get documents. In the earlier thing I just talked about, where they're looking into Fast and Furious, I don't know what precipitated that, but it is happening. This particular thing now, given that Sessions is now saying, let's start opening up the Komodo. Is this the beginning of looking at all this stuff? Is this the beginning of looking at the VA scandal? Is it the beginning of looking more into Benghazi? I'll be honest with you. I don't want to hear about some of the old stuff. We have enough with just what the FBI has done in the Hillary Clinton investigation to last a lifetime. 1.2 million documents that Michael Horowitz has in his possession around this investigation that led him to essentially just open up a can of worms on the Democrats, and that has led to the firing of McCabe, who, by the way, many insiders are saying is only the tip of the iceberg. I told you guys of a tweet from Stonewall Jackson, a guy that we mutually follow each other on Twitter, and he says, what you're going to find out from Inspector General Horowitz on McCabe is going to make Democrats run from him as far as they can, like he's been nuclear irradiated. They're going to get out of there. Now, again, I don't know what's there. All I know is that to be a Democrat today associated with Hillary Clinton and soon to be associated with Barack Obama, you are toxic. It means nobody's going to want to touch you. And I gave you guys some things to look for. I said, watch how the media at some point starts to handle Donald Trump. Watch the slow transition from late night comics to where they no longer ridicule. They're still ridiculing him right now. They're still talking smack because they're holding on to the vestige of maybe we can take him down. Maybe Stormy Daniels will do him in. Maybe the Republicans will lose the House. Let me tell you something right now. Number one, I've said it 1,000 times. I'll say it 1,000 more. The Republicans are not going to lose the House. In fact, I think they'll gain seats in the House. They'll gain seats in the Senate, undoubtedly. And the moment that election ends, and it goes the way that I just told you, you're going to watch the Democrats start running for cover in a way you've never seen before. They are going to bolt. You're going to hear people talking. I know. I need an immunity deal. I need this or that. And you're going to watch the wheels fall off their wagon so fast it'll blow your mind. Because that's it. They will have a full, solid 4 years of Donald Trump with control of the House and the Senate, a man who knows how to get things done. They will know that Donald Trump is going to get reelected because their plan is thwarted. And you're going to watch the rats jump ship, like you've never seen before. So hold out. I honestly think you're going to start seeing the deck chairs get shuffled pretty quickly now. Certainly by the end of summer. But when the day comes after November, you're going to have the best Christmas ever, and you're going to watch Democrats going bananas. You think you're having fun watching these clowns now? You give it a few months, and it's going to be game on.
He won't stop until he's the top-rated radio talk show host in America.
What kind of weird competitive freak are you?
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.